What about Chromebooks? Chromebook versus laptop. A new war begins. You may have one computer for each purpose, but it would be nice if one computer could do as many things as possible and all possible. The dream of becoming a universal and general universal computer, capable of doing everything. Apple, Google, and Microsoft are all dreaming. The momentum beyond toys, etc. Chromebooks. First of all, the momentum of Chromebooks with Google Chrome OS is the same. A Chromebook is an inexpensive and simple dedicated laptop whose Chrome web browser itself has become an operating system, and it has 10 years since it appeared. Although there is little presence in Korea, Chromebooks have already taken more than half of the American education market. The Chromebook's performance in the third quarter of 2020 was amazing. It's still far from absolute numbers, but the growth of Google's Chromebook versus laptop has outpaced Windows-based products. Chrome OS can now use not only the Chrome browser but also Android apps and Linux programs. The secret to growth is the discovery of such everyday demand beyond a single category of education. The reason it was sold well for education in the first place was that it was cheap and easy to drop by, so it was good for public use. It was easy to manage but provided everything necessary. Even for the general public, there is an atmosphere of buying an Android tablet and a Chromebook with a keyboard. Besides, as Linux has been incorporated into Chromebooks in recent years, it can be used even as an Android development device. It is moving away from toys at an alarming rate. The success of the Chromebook with Android on its back stimulated Apple as well. MacBooks with Apple Silicon M1 can now run iOS apps as well. There are still many constraints, but the possibilities are endless. The biggest limitation of the current Apple Silicon is that the Windows program does not run. Neither dual boot like Boot Camp nor x86 virtualization. It should be called emulation because the CPU is different, are impossible. However, possibilities are emerging beyond the horizon. This is because Wine specialized company Crusoe showed that Wine, which allows you to install Windows program, can run Rosetta 2. Apple's own x86 translator from Big Sur 11.1. It even ran 32-bit Windows program. On an ARM chip that emulates x86, a 32-bit Windows program runs 32 to 64-bit conversion. There is no Matryoshka doll. If it's about the 2010 version of Hangul for Windows that writers love, it will be available on the M1. Windows comes out. By the way, is Windows with the most software in the world? As much as the history of the PC, software containing different stories is running on each PC. If all of the software doesn't disappear, Windows will survive. However, Windows is more worried than anyone else. A Chromebook with an Android app and a Mac with an iOS app. The neighborhood is full of new apps. As the years go by, the Windows program is likely to become a COBOL program. It's tense. A few years ago, Windows built the Windows Subsystem for Linux, WSL, to embrace Linux. With the recent version 2, it's good enough to assume that Linux has just been virtualized inside Windows. With these gestures, we don't know how much we can catch the crutch of developers who have left for the Mac because of Unix compatibility, but now users are worried. When it comes to programs, everyone thinks of apps. Besides, the number of people writing Windows programs is gradually decreasing. These days, Windows software is usually made with a Chrome engine machine in JavaScript to support both Mac and web. Even Microsoft, as you can see in Teams and Visual Studio Code, makes new apps that way. Or More and more people are starting to make Windows apps with Facebook's React Native or Google's Flutter. It feels like Windows is creating something somewhere else, but supporting me if there is time left or a mediocre time. It is not made quite a bit for Windows, such as Net or Win32 API. Now, as Windows-only programs exclusively for Windows are increasingly extinct, this brings a dark cloud to the future of Windows. Last week, rumors of Microsoft planned Project Latte to run Android apps on Windows 10 began to be heard. Android apps are usually compiled and bundled together on x86 with ARM, so running them on Windows isn't that difficult. Chromebooks take a method of running Android apps in a container like Docker. Windows can do it anyway. It is probably speculated that it will be linked with WSL. However, each Android app is combined with Google Play for monetization such as advertising and in-app payments. And this part is likely not supported by Google as hard work. Many apps rely on Google services, such as the not naughty function. The remaining path is to try somehow by forking Google's function, fork independent of open source, like Amazon or Huawei. For Microsoft, it hurts our pride. However, this is not unfamiliar. This is because there is a history of giving up the release after almost making the structure for running Android apps on Windows phones, which are now disappeared as Project Astoria. Usually, the framework connects to other environments like this. It's called a bridge. However, the bridge that you need to make now has a different feeling from the Chromebook that includes its Android app or the Mac that returns the iOS apps as a bonus. It is expected that the road is as tough as terrain, which is made to the land of others. And if you need a bridge, it means that you are stuck in the drain. However, the ancient legacy will be the last fortress to protect Windows, and Microsoft itself has long since abandoned the obsession to unify the world with Windows. It seems that Windows just wants to be a general and universal home for doing everything. This is because the server business has shifted to a collection business such as Office 365 and Cloud Azure. The world is changing rapidly.